Alright, here we are back in the shade house again, and we're in the 50% shade part right here, so it's the kind of brighter light plants. And in this episode, we are going to talk about my Cattleya Alliance plants. And even though I only have 2 varieties of Cattleya, I have about 20-25 individual plants, and we'll get into that in a minute. So let's just dive right in and talk about this plant. This is a very popular cultivar that was given to me by somebody off of the orchid board, and it is called, let's see, it's Brassocatanthe, Little Mermaid, nice name, and then the cultivar is Janet. So this is a really popular little orchid. It grows, it blooms. I just got this thing last year, and this is the first new growth that it has produced since then. When I got it, the plant had absolutely no roots. It had these old growths on it, but no roots at all. And the plant literally sat there from September until, I would say, May. It sat there and did not do anything. I mean, it just sat there. I mean, I put it in the sun, I tried to water it, it just did nothing at all. Then in the spring, I brought it outside. It started getting humidity, it started getting rain, it started getting sun, and lo and behold, it started growing these beautiful roots that you can see, and started this new growth, which I'm not sure if I should be so bold as to hope that it will bloom, but I will. I'm going to hope that it will. So this is a very interesting one. It has to dry out between waterings, like most of the Cattleya Alliance. The roots are very big and thick. They like to ramble, they like to crawl around, they like lots of air, and they do not like to be wet. So you water them and you let them dry out. This plant is half Cattleya walkeriana. It's a quarter Brassavola nodosa, which is a very popular orchid species to have. And then it is a quarter Cattleya, if it's Cattleya boringiana, I might be wrong on the genus there, but anyway, the reason I say that is because it's 50% walkeriana. Walkeriana is an awesome Cattleya because it has the most fantastic fragrance ever, in my opinion. I'm all about some fragrant orchids, so I'm really looking forward to this guy blooming and hopefully having a nice, pretty, and also fragrant bloom. Alright, so that's one of my Cattleyas. The other Cattleyas that I have are these little guys here. And you might notice immediately that they are not very big. And the reason they're not very big is because they are seedlings. These Cattleyas, as you can see from the tag here, these are all Cattleya rex. Cattleya rex is a species of Cattleya. It grows in the wild. It comes just right out of the wild like this. And I'm going to move this one because it's not included in this family. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 are the Cattleya rex seedlings. They're from Peru, Colombia. They grow in the Andes Mountains. There are some that grow higher elevation, some that grow lower elevation. In Spanish, they're known as the golondrina, which means the swallow, like the bird, the swallow. And they have really nice white blooms with a spectacular lip, tubular, kind of a yellowish lip, with veins and almost a rainbow from yellow all the way across to pink, red, purple. It's really spectacular. When I saw photographs of that particular orchid online, I said, yes, I must have that. And it turns out that it's not that popular, it's not that commonly cultivated. So when I was surfing around on eBay last March, March 2014, and I saw that there was a flask of Cattleya rex available, I quickly snatched it up, and so I basically started my first endeavor with Cattleyas as well as my first endeavor with seedlings at the same time. So when I received them, they were, little teeny tiny plants. In fact, let's go over here because I'm going to show you a couple of the seedlings that I chose to mount, and you'll see these guys. Look how teeny tiny they are. And these are actually not that small. Check out this one. It's itsy bitsy. Itsy bitsy. These all of these are the same age as the ones that you saw over here on the table. It's just kind of a testament to how much diversity there is in one flask, in one generation of plants, because some are faster growers. Some produce more leaves. Some produce more roots. Some have more of a reddish color. Some are more green. There's a lot of variety. So basically, all of these plants are brothers and sisters. They came from the same seed pod. As I understand it, the flask was put together in February of 2011, which means that these plants, believe it or not, it's 2015, they're 4.5 years old. And look how small they are. So Cattleyas definitely, and orchids in general, they take a while to go from seed to adult. Okay, but these guys are mounted on a piece of hickory. This is hickory bark. We had a hickory tree fall down last year, and I quickly jumped on the bark and used that for mounting some plants, which they seem to be okay with. Let's look over here. Here's another one that's a little bit bigger. Look at this guy. He's growing. He's actually starting to develop his first true Cattleya-type leaf. Before, they kind of look like a little Phalaenopsis because they don't look like Cattleyas at all when they're really little. But as they start to grow bigger, they start to develop those real, actual pseudobulbs and leaves at the top. And as you can look at these guys, these are already starting to look like adult Cattleyas. This one's just starting. It's just now grown a new leaf, and I'm really excited because each leaf that it grows is bigger than the last. So this is probably the largest of the whole litter, if you want to call it that. It might be another year or two from producing its first flower, but this is definitely the furthest along. But I've had pretty good luck with them this summer. Last year I really struggled with them because I didn't really understand the watering technique with Cattleyas. As seedlings, they need a little bit more moisture. They kind of need constant access to moisture. But just moisture, that's not wetness, you know. If you want to know the difference between moist and wet, take a sponge and soak it in a sink, put it under water, and then just pull it straight out of the water. It's dripping with water, that's wet, You don't want your medium to be like that. If you wring the sponge out so that most of the water comes out of it, but it's still kind of damp, then that's the kind of moisture level that you want. What I did was what I finally figured out was that these plants don't like to have moisture sticking around on their roots for very long at all. Not more than a day. They really want their roots to dry out in one day. So whenever I potted these up, I actually put them in lava rock like some of my other plants. And the great thing about lava rock is that it does retain some moisture initially, but it also dries out pretty fast. And there's also lots of space in between the individual pieces of medium so that the plant can squeeze its roots in there, get plenty of air, and dry out in a relatively quick, short amount of time. So now that I've figured out that these plants do not like to stay wet at all, I've had a lot better luck with them. They've grown very well for me. Well, I think they've grown pretty well anyway. So yeah, it's just it's interesting to see the difference in size. Some of them are just now developing their first real pseudobulbs, and some of them are, have had several of the adult leaves already. And this one it's growing several new roots out of the new bulb that it's just produced. Look there. So this has been a really kind of rewarding experience growing seedlings because you really form an attachment with the plants because they're really so dependent on you and they're so fragile when they're so small. But to be honest, they're a lot tougher than I thought. I thought when I first got the flask, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to need a hazmat suit to handle these things. And it turns out that they're actually quite tough. And as I showed you before, they can survive being tacky glued to a piece of bark and sprayed with a mister. Like a spray bottle, every day, and that's fine. That's all they need, really. I do kind of add a little bit of fertilizer here and there, but in general, I just just water them try to give them a little bit of water every day, but don't want to keep them wet. Okay, let's not knock it over. Great job. All right. So that's it. Those are my only Cattleya Alliance plants. Hope that you learned something. Thought this was interesting. I'll definitely be getting lots of updates on these because as they are seedlings, I've never seen any of them bloom. And so it will be a very, very rewarding and interesting experience to see these Cattleya seedlings go from little baby plants to adult blending size plants. And it'll also be interesting to see some of the variety and variation in the different types of flowers that they produce. So that was the my Cattleya Alliance plants that I have. And thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.